Good evening, ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties. This is Alex coming at you from the underworld, and welcome back to another episode of. In this update video, I have some awesome news to share because I'm going to show off something that I've worked really, really hard on. And if you're a lover of vintage Halloween the way that I am, then I think this will put you in the spirit for one of the spookiest nights of the year when ghosts and goblins run amok. Now, before I show this off, I'd just like to give everyone some backstory because years ago, before I created this channel, I used to be a published author. And during that time, I had met a lot of really awesome creators. However, at the same time, I had also met individuals in the publishing community who I felt could further my career. However, after giving them a chance, I discovered that they weren't the publishers for me. Well, due to me bumping heads with the publishers, I eventually regained my rights and I then went on a hiatus. But because of me being a creative person and needing an outlet, I decided to create this channel so I could connect with like-minded horror readers. Even still, in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to publish again after the stars aligned to my favor. And it's really weird that I'm releasing this now because we're in Mercury retrograde, and the stars should not be aligned to my favor because this is a purely chaotic time. However, this is just how things worked out. But over the last few years, I revised my work and I reached out to loved ones who I trusted as far as giving me constructive criticism. Then, after rewrite, after rewrite, after rewrite, after rewrite, we have finally come to now where it's time to finally release back into the public the short story collection of mine that was originally published as The Night the Jack-o'-lantern Went Out. But this time it's called 13 Octobers. Now, of course, this is just a proof copy. The paperback and ebooks will be released on Labor Day, which I will include links to the ebooks in the description section of this episode where you can go in and pre-order now. And as soon as the paperback becomes available, I'll include a link for that as well, which the links I'll include will cover the United States, Canada, the UK, and Australia. And as many of you know, the more pre-orders I get, the higher ranking I'll receive on release day. So if you would like to get a copy, please do so now because that will totally help me out when that day comes. Anywho, as far as this book is concerned, as I had mentioned, I had met a lot of fantastic creators when I was an author, which among them, I had befriended the artist known as Chuck Jett. So when it came time to release my work once again, I reached out to him and explained I would love for him to create my cover art. And after I gave him a brief idea of what I was looking for, this is what he came up with, which I totally believe this sets the mood for the whole book. And if you're looking to commission him, I have included his link in the description section of this video as well. 13 Octobers is a collection of 13 vintage-themed folk horror stories that all take place during the month of October or on Halloween night. Now, overall, my goal with this particular volume is to glorify the lost art of telling campfire stories or sharing superstitions by word of mouth, which, among the subjects I wrote about, some of these regard local legends that I had grown up with, whereas other stories regard superstitions and folklore that's more popular on a global level. And even though I don't consider this book to be splatterpunk, there are a few stories that do push the envelope. So if you would like to avoid those, I do have a page at the beginning of this book that lists the trigger warnings for those more extreme tales. Otherwise, this should be suitable for just about any adult or older teenager who loves Halloween, especially if you're looking for diversity of stories, as I decided to focus on quite a few popular symbols for this season, such as the Grim Reaper, owls, black cats, witches, Stingy Jack, and even the devil himself. Not to mention, I've included ghouls, ghosts, goblins, cornhusk dolls, scarecrows, and serial killers. As far as a potential series is concerned, my overall goal is to show how Halloween has changed throughout the decades, which I plan to do this by showing how storytelling has gone from the campfire to the computer. And with that in mind, this book takes place from the 1930s to the 1960s, and it focuses on, of course, superstitions, traditions, and lore. But with the second book that I'm currently working on, it'll move forward from the 1970s to the 1990s, and it will become a little bit more modern where the horror will become social. Then with the third book, it'll progress from the millennium to current day, where in this time frame, the idea of superstitions, tradition, and lore will practically be non existent, and the horror will be completely contemporary. For those who purchased 13 Octobers, you'll notice that I dedicated this book to relatives on my father's side of the family who have passed away. And as the series moves forward, I'll continue to dedicate each book to loved ones who have left this world behind, which I feel like this is an appropriate thing to do, considering that Halloween is a time to honor the dead, and fall is generally a reminder of death. Furthermore, I decided to dedicate this book to these specific names because when I was a child, I had spent my every single Halloween night with these relatives, which back then, us kids would all gather and trick or treat the neighborhood as a group while we were chaperoned by our parents. Then, after our bags could hold no more candy, we would return to the house that belonged to my grandmother and my great aunt, where all of our parents would just hang out and we would sit around the TV just eating nothing but junk food and watching whatever Halloween special aired that year. And since these relatives made such a great impact on my life during Halloween, many of the characters in 13 Octobers reflect the way these relatives spoke. For example, in my story called Outhouse, I couldn't hear it in any other voice than the voice of my grandmother, who we all called Mamaw Brown, although her name was Hazel. Whereas the father figure in Fire Watchers is a reflection of my father's own voice. And aside from dialogue, there are quite a few other elements and locations throughout this book that return me to that side of the family. Well, that's this book in a nutshell. And remember, if you would like to order a copy, just go to the description section of this video for easy access. And before I close out, I would just like to thank these amazing people for contributing to my Patreon account. As you can tell, some of the names listed here are creators, so be sure to check out their work. And if you would like to contribute to my Patreon account, I have a link available in the description section of this episode, where for $5 a month, I'll give you a shout out at the end of my videos. And if there is a certain profession you would like for me to tie to your name, just let me know and I'll do that. Also, I do have a $10 tier available where for $10 a month, I'll still give you the shout out as you see here, but I do creepy photography on the side, so at the beginning of every month, I send out one of my creepy photos. From there, you can print it off and do whatever you like with it. So if you're able to do this, that's awesome. If not, no sweat. I just hope you return to this channel so we can continue to have a good time together. Also, if you would like to hit me up on social media, links to my Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads are all available in the description section of this episode. Also, if you've not subscribed to this channel, be sure to subscribe and click that notifications bell because I have more videos coming in the near future. So until we see each other again, I hope you have a great week and sweet nightmares.